that the majority of American people do not want it enforced and are resisting its enforcement. That being so, the orderly thing to do under our form of government is to abolish a law which cannot be enforced, a law which the people of the country do not want enforced. Prohibition cannot be enforced for the simple reason that the majority of American people do not want it enforced and are resisting its enforcement. That being so, the orderly thing to do under our form of government is to abolish a law which cannot be enforced, a law which the people of the country do not want enforced.
Recording live from KCDI Studios, this is the Kent and Zach Show with Caitlyn Guthrie. Blasting anyone or anything that makes us angry. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and ridicule to anything that makes the news or our purview. It's political, it's skeptical, it's triggering, and we're not holding anything back. I'm your host, Kent Williams, along with host Caitlyn Guthrie and Zach Wharf. Thanks for joining the show.
Welcome back. Yes, if you've joined us before, thank you for your time and feedback, and welcome if you're new here. Be sure to like and follow, subscribe, share, and let us know your thoughts as we carry on, preferably in the form of as many comments and reacts to other comments as you can. Facebook always does a major crackdown on visibility during election cycles, so we don't mind if you sad or angry face us either. That gets us up there. If you want to keep seeing us on your timeline, interaction is key.
Hello. Welcome. We're doing it again. I am the Zach Man, unfiltered, uncensored, unapologetic. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. We are doing it. Look at this. We already got 13 people watching. We just keep growing every time.
I know it's wild.
Getting bigger and bigger. So many likes. Thank you guys for sharing it. Thank you guys for talking about it. Thank you for ringing the bell. The comments. I love the interaction. We have a great loyal audience that really gets some great questions out there. You guys get a little vulgar sometimes, and I like that even more. Mm-hmm. All right. So what are we doing tonight? What we got?
We have a great show tonight. Tonight with us we have Lynnlea Anderson, a concerned parent and member of the community here in Garden City whose child attends USD 457. And, we're just a bunch of regular people having regular conversations out loud that we think are uncomfortable and that should be more normalized. So we're here as parents tonight with Lynnlea Anderson to talk about USD 457 and the experience that our children are currently having. So we're excited for that. Coming up later on the show tonight, of course, we've always got our events going on. You guys, this has been a crazy couple of weeks for us here at the show. We've talked about, I think I mentioned to Zach today at least, about changing the name of our show to If You Want to Become Rich, move to Garden City, Kansas, and work for a nonprofit. It's quite... Woodward. It is. We want to thank everybody that reaches out to us with stories, and,
keep those coming.
keep those coming. We're here to support you. What comes along with this is we're not paid to be here. We're just, having conversations, and we're honored that people are willing to share atrocities that have happened to them and to our nonprofits here. It's not just Troy Unruh. Dun, da, da, da.
Always Troy.
Yeah, how do you like the memes? If you got Troy's a new meme, send it in.
Yeah, he's the villain of our show. But he's not the only one, and there's things that we want to talk about, and we have to be able to report on those things. We can't have opinions. So when you do reach out to us, please keep in mind that if we can't go on the record with solid evidence or sourcing, that it does hinder the things that we are capable of doing, but that doesn't mean that we won't take you seriously.
It's not that we won't. It's not that we won't report it. It's that we got.
We have to corroborate because yes.
We definitely are not trained professionals at this. We've been involved with the news enough to understand that you don't just go repeating whatever you're told right away.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donnie.
Thanks, Donnie.
Hey, Donnie.
Appreciate you being here, brother. Yeah, absolutely. And it goes on to retaliation as well, and that's something that we're going to talk about real heavily today and next week when we have, help me out, Miss Lowen.
Alexis Louder.
Alexis Louder from Emporia, Kansas, ran the Vote No campaign in that community for the August 2nd Value Them Both Amendment, and lost her job as a teacher. And I believe that made national news. And
so
I think so,
mad at the churches for putting their signs out, but we'll fire teachers for having their opinion. Insane.
So we get to have her on the show next week, which is absolutely amazing. We're so excited to have her here and to hear her story. We want people to know that they shouldn't be scared to talk out loud about things that are going wrong. And, I guess we're here publicly because, I've been retaliated against a couple of times, from things I've said on other podcast live streams that I've been on pertaining to Garden City. So I know how it feels. I know how it feels, and I'm here for you. And, as Degeneration X would say, I got 2 words for all the haters out there, and I'll let you use your imagination. So we'll move on with tonight's show. We have a short list of events that's going on in Garden City. Caitlin, why don't you get us started?
Yeah. So on September 9th, August 15th through September 9th of 2022, in the Mercer Gallery, which is in the Garden City Community College, we have Alvin Schultz, the artist, with The Evolution of an Artist, a retrospective. It's the show.
I love it.
Go by and enjoy.
It's such a perfect introduction to Halloween time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost here. Season. It is Spirit Halloween back at Sears.
I saw so many. My whole timeline was full. Early. Yeah, of everybody like, I'm going to Spirit. It was great.
Also in Garden City, Champions Archive will be hosting a Warhammer tournament on September 10th, starting at 9:30 in the morning. For more information, please reach out to Champions Archive. Entry fee is $20, and there will be prizes. There's a limit of 10 players, and it's a fast first come, first serve on resignation. Registration. I am tongue-tied tonight, guys. I haven't been feeling well. You have to give me a break.
You were sniffling a bit.
We cut you some slack.
Yeah. If I start in a sneezing fit, I apologize. I can't help it right now. Get in quick before all seats are reserved. And I did COVID test, and I'm negative. For those that want to know. So.
I did.
All right. The 96th Annual Garden City Mexican Fiesta is coming Tuesday, September 9th, and runs through Wednesday the 10th. Events include the 18th Annual Fiesta Queen Scholarship Pageant, September 9th at 7 p.m., at Pauline Joyce Auditorium, and live music September 10th with I'm gonna butcher it.
Companeros. Samaro
I'm
Companeros.
sorry. I failed Spanish miserably.
It's going to be a good time, you know.
Yeah, people love that event. And then isn't the Queen
always ready
usually
for Halloween tenderlungs
at other events later? So it's a good time. Garden City Downtown Vision will be hosting Fall Fest on September 17th from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The event features a wide variety of vendors, the Kansas Cruisers Car Show, which is also a really fun thing, a lot of people's favorite, that car show out here. Food trucks, the NASDAQ 500 races, which is fun for the kids, along with Buck-a-Duck races, live music and entertainment, a Paint the Front Door contest among downtown businesses. You don't want to miss out on this incredible day in downtown Garden City.
An event
that will never sound like Buck-a-Duck. It will
never
sound
No, I had to look twice. What did she just say?
Typos.
Oh my gosh, it does say TVMA at the top, but but we don't try to abuse it.
I
do. Excuse me. An event a little further into the future, but you'll want to get tickets in advance because they sell out every year.
They do.
A wild affair at Lee Richardson Zoo's wildest and most prosperous fundraiser of the year starts Saturday, September 24th of this year. This exceptional evening takes place under the stars of the zoo's West Green and features music as well as special appearances by zoo animal ambassadors.
Fun!
Enjoy a roaring good time while you and friends sip on a variety of adult beverages while sampling delicious foods from some of our region's best restaurants and caterers. Bid on hundreds of unique items and auctions and all the benefits, improvements, it's all to benefit improvements at the Lee Richardson Zoo. I didn't want Kent to be by himself.
Yeah, and
I'm glad I'm not the only one running up on
it'll be me later too. Lee Richardson Zoo will be closed during regular zoo hours September 24th to prepare for the festivities. The Southwest Gate will reopen at 6 p.m. for the event. Food served until 8 p.m. Tickets are all inclusive and just $50 per person or $60 after September 16th. Tickets must be purchased in advance and will not be available at the event. Guests must be 21 to enter. Purchase tickets beginning August 23rd at Lee Richardson Zoo, Blue Fox Boutique, and Ward's Garden Center. Online at www.folrz.org or on the Friends Facebook A Wild Affair event page.
And it is such a big event. We do want to give a shout out to the sponsors that help keep this going, and that's Huber Sand and Dairy Farmers of America, Pokey Feeders, Knoll, Crop Protection, Maine and Palmer Family Dentistry, and Finney County Convention of Travel and the Bureau of Travel
and Visitors Bureau.
There we go. A wild sponsorships are available through August 17th. If you haven't gotten on board yet to sponsor and want to get your business out there, this would be a great way to do it. Food and beverage provider opportunities are also available. So if you got those food trucks, let's get them out there. Everybody loves Garden City's pop-up restaurants. Really, all these food trucks that have popped up have been amazing.
All right.
So
let's do this.
Yeah, we are again. I want to talk about it a little bit more. We kind of touched on it earlier. On next week's show, we have Alexis. Help me here. Louder. On the show, who ran the Vote No campaign in Emporia, Kansas, and was fired and let go for expressing an opinion or joining a movement in which she firmly believed in. So
literally exercising your political rights.
Yep.
Right.
I'm beside myself. That's
I can't wait to hear
supposed to be the pillar of American society, is that your vote is sacred and your right to
and that you're allowed
for that
to vote either way. Yes.
Exactly. And so At this time, we'd like to welcome this week's guest, Lynnlea Anderson, to the show. Lynnlea Anderson is a Buffalo Guardian, which is a kind of a community watch group, parent watch group on Facebook that people get on and talk about what's going on, how they're viewing our schools, our district, our school board, everything that goes with it. So Lynnlea is here tonight as a concerned parent, and there's been lots of things that have gone on in our school board with these recent changes in elections and what's on TV nationally and in the state, and what's here going on locally. So here we are today to have a conversation with another parent with a child in USD 457.
Hi, Lynnlea.
You're welcome.
Hello. All right, am I still good on audio, you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hear
you
you
sound
great.
great.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you sound
Just checking.
fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. This takes some bravery to do, just because
Thank you.
our show isn't known for talking about all the positive things. There's plenty of outlets for that. And so we like to ask some harder questions and kind of dig a little deeper than what anything else we would find available in Garden City to ourselves. So yeah, we definitely appreciate your time. What is it you do for the school district?
Yeah, so I do work for the school district. I am a teacher librarian at Charlestone's Intermediate Center. I am going on my 11th year. I have to think for a minute. Once you get past 10, you lose track. I'm going on my 11th year of being an educator. However, and so tonight, tonight's conversation, I'll be bringing in some of that knowledge that I have as an employee, but really, I am here because of the concerns that I have for things that have happened, things that have been said, discussed, policies that have been passed just in the short 8 months that our new board has been in action. And I'm really here as a parent who just happens to have maybe what some would call an inside view because I do work for the district. So, but I am not here representing the district at all.
If I can cut in real quick, and I guess I looked at this recently. There are 7 positions on the board. Is that correct? And then when I think it's 2024 is the next term year, and there are several of them that are up in 2024, and 1 seat's open.
Yes. So traditionally, our school board in USD 457 has seated 7 people. It's my understanding there's no real magic number for a school board. I mean, I know that Johnson County, I think, has 8 or 9 or 10, but they're also a larger district,
They are
larger
yeah.
entity. So, of course, they probably need that many representatives. So our board has traditionally had 7 seats. This past election cycle, we had 3 seats that were available. And of course, we know how those results turned out. So our board works a little bit like the midterms for House of Representatives and Senate. So they flip-flop so that not everybody's going off and coming on at the same time to provide a little bit of continuity, I think, which is good. I actually appreciate that. Yeah. And Caitlyn, you are correct. In the 2023, so it would be next fall, right, is when we will have that election. We will have 4 seats that will be available for candidates to run. One of those is Dana Naniga, who has been upfront and honest about the fact that she is not going to run again because she started her first term with the promise that she would honor term limits. And I do respect that decision and I honor her for that decision. as a parent, I can't say I'm too happy about it, but I do honor her for sticking to what she has said. So her seat will be available. I believe Mark Rude is also, his seat will become open. I do not know at this time if he is planning on running again. Jennifer Stanley, the current sitting board president, her seat should be available. And then the most recent seat that was seated, so Randy Ralston's seat, when he took his position, he can only fill the unexpired term, which belonged to Janine Radke Johnson. And her term was also set to end or be up for election, in 2023. So Mr. Ralston, Captain Ralston, will only be able to serve until January of 2024 unless he decides to put himself on the ballot. So that's probably a very long-winded answer, but I hope I answered.
No, thank you. We need to be paying attention if that's coming up again.
Yes. Yeah, we have a very large majority of the board that seats that will be open. So it's important for people to realize that it is only about a year away when we're going to be deciding those seats. And so we really need the public, we need parents, we need the community to kind of start looking at that and getting involved. And that's why I got involved with the Buffalo Guardians, was because, well, I received the invite and I was like, oh, okay. I had heard about, I was like, okay, what's this? And looked into it. I knew Shawnee Mission School District has a watchdog group because their district went through a little bit of turmoil a while back. If you're familiar with Game On for Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Game On for Kansas, that's also kind of
I just
Board of Education watchdog group. They just go kind of statewide. They cover from the eastern to the western side of the state and bring forth issues that are
Buffalo Guardians isn't even the only parent watchdog school board group in Garden City. There's several of them on both sides of a political spectrum, which is something that we're going to get into as we move through the show. And we are going to talk more about the board, and I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But you did talk about being with the district for several years. And one thing that we're seeing right now is long-term substitutes. Folks that are not certified to be a full-time teacher, but can step in and do a long-term substitution if they need to. And we have several of those in our district. Some have been in our district for 10 plus years, some of them 5 plus years, some of them just a few years. Is there any type of program or incentives, access to programs to help these long-term substitutes become certified so they can be hired as a certified teacher within the district?
Yeah, so the state of education nationwide right now, this is not just an isolated issue to Garden City. It's not an isolated issue to even the state of Kansas. So states have had to become a little bit creative in trying to fill those open positions so that schools can function. There are several what we call transitional programs that people can apply for. There's a transition to teaching program where if you have a traditional bachelor's degree, but it may not be with an educational emphasis, that transition to teach program gets you the educational foundation that you need. And then I believe it is a 2-year program. I could be wrong on that, but the last I knew, it was a 2-year transition program. And you're required to take the courses, and then you have to pass what is called the praxis exam that teachers have to take for professional learning. You may also have to take the content praxis, but I do know they have to take the professional learning practice praxis. I keep saying practice, but it's praxis. So that is one avenue that people can go into. And I know that there are grant opportunities, scholarship opportunities. Our district might even have an opportunity where, they might be willing to subsidize part of that. I can't speak to that 100%, but I do know there's other districts in the nation that will do that if you go in and express the interest that you want to transition into teaching. So there's that option to become certified. As far as the long-term substitutes, we have 56, by the way, in our district. We have 56 long-term substitutes, for which I am thankful every single day. We only hired 44 certified staff this year. And just a little background, the state saw a 62% increase in resignations and retirements between the fall of 2020 and the fall of 2021. I'm sure you can determine what caused that uptick in resignations and retirements. COVID did not do us any favors on any level. And so the district in that same time frame between 2019 and 20 and the fall of 2021, they experienced a 5%, almost 6% increase in the number of teachers that left the classroom that year. So we have 56 teachers. We have more long-term substitutes than the number of certified teachers we hired working in the district.
So
and I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm just curious what the pay for a teacher in our area would be on average, and what the pay for a long-term substitute would be, and what's the difference in their job at this point.
Okay, so for a certified professional, such as myself, the starting wage for our district is around $43,000. So that's a certified
teacher,
fresh
out of college or
fresh out of college, okay. No experience. You're gonna start with a base of about $43,000. For a long-term substitute, I believe it is between $105 and $125 a day. And they don't get benefits.
So there's no retirement plan.
There's no 401k.
Plan.
There's no benefits.
Health.
There's no paid time off. So if they get sick or if they have to take a day off to go to an appointment, they don't get to use a sick day or a personal day to do that. And that's just how it has been in our
weeks district. Are there?
Yeah.
And we have 56.
We have 56.
We have 56 substitutes currently as long-term substitutes. So what does that do for a normal, regular substitute pool? Can they call? Do you guys have substitutes to call in? Is that?
No. Unfortunately, for the past 2.5 years, two educational cycles, we're going into year 3. The substitute pool has been diminished, and basically because the people that would do the what we would call the emergency subbing were taken over to be long-term subs, which is great. I applaud them for that, and I appreciate the fact that they are in those classrooms teaching those kids. And I think Zach or Kent, one of you asked earlier, what was the difference at that point between a long-term sub and a certified professional? Right. I have to be honest, nothing, because the long-term subs are expected to carry out the very same duties that a certified professional does. They do lesson planning, they attend PLC meetings, they are there at the beginning of contract time, they stay until the end of contract time, they have extra duties like recess, they have before school duty, after school duty. So really they are filling the exact shoes of a certified professional, but because they don't have that certification, they can't be put on a contract. And so they're paid just that
I did the
daily
math
rate.
real quick, and assuming that there was year-round school, and there's not, they would make, and they were there for the whole year, they would make $32,000 in that year. But how many teaching weeks are there? 40?
There are 169 and a half student contact days.
Okay. So, I mean, that's just
Because
some simple math.
yeah, typically, well, you're working on the math stack.
$13,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Typically, long-term subs are not required to go to the professional development that certified professionals are. However, I do know that if a long-term substitute attends, I believe that they are paid for that time. So that is at least something that our district does for our long-term subs. If they're willing to go and put in the time and get the same professional development as the certified staff, I do believe that our district pays them for that time. And there's not a lot that do
that. My concern's
that.
more with Kansas as a whole. Kansas
Yes.
as a whole was short 1,400 teachers this year, and we haven't changed anything. We're one of the lowest paying states.
Yeah, that's entry level.
Yeah.
For anything,
Yeah, so
and
we're
then they're in
not
charge of our
quality
children.
Yeah, well, I can give you an example of just how bad the teacher shortage is, and the fact that teachers are walking away from their jobs. So I know for a fact that we had 4 teachers in USD 457 resign in the month of July. And based on our contract, that means that they owed a $4,000 penalty. They didn't even argue it.
It
They
costs
just
them
walked
money
away.
to quit their job.
Yes, it costs us money to leave our contract.
Wow.
My
Because-
goodness, that's new
because-
information to me.
We work on a continuing contract. So when we leave in May, we have a certain set of time that is allowed for us to resign without penalty. If we don't, then we're considered to be in breach of contract, and there are penalties for certain time frames that happens. So
That is
now
just
the
ridiculous.
Who
district
can
did
afford
nothing wrong.
$4,000?
Right.
Well, in this time of teacher shortage, right, and teacher burnout, some teachers, that $4,000 is nothing to them.
Sure.
That they'll pay it to get out. The
You
district
can't
did
put
nothing.
a price on happiness.
The district didn't do anything wrong in that instance. Those 4 people just made their choice, and I don't know whether they went into another educational, job. I don't know if they left and went to the private sector. I just know that we had 4
Well, it
teachers
doesn't matter
leave in
where you
July.
went, because at $40,000, it doesn't matter where you go. You're probably making about the same. You can go be a stalker at Walmart and make $40,000.
Yeah.
No education or anything.
Yeah. Well, and
Mhm.
with minimum wage being raised right now, we have some entities in town that are paying 14, 15, upwards of $20 an hour for an
Hopefully
entry level
20.
job. So
I don't
As
know
it
how
should be.
familiar I don't know how familiar you are with our show, but we had Senator John Dahl on last week,
Yes.
and we had a fantastic interview. But the topic of cannabis came up because I always bring it up with a politician, and I
do you
reminded
poke
him.
the bear, Zach?
I love
We like to
poking
poke
bears.
the
It's
bear.
my-
We do that
it's
a
my
lot around
hobby.
here.
You're my
That's our job.
That's
you're
our
my
job.
people.
So I brought
Yep,
up the
there it is.
These are my memes.
Yes.
So I brought up the subject of cannabis in Kansas, and even our Senator John Dahl, who's probably one of the most left-leaning politicians we have, and that's being generous with my words. He's in favor of medical and he's in favor of hemp, but he doesn't want to touch recreational right now. and I don't have because the numbers are on last week's show, but I think it was $400 million went to schools last year in Colorado just from cannabis. Granted, they are still one of the lower paying schools in the country for teacher pay, but the benefits are there. There's more incentive. They have twice the population of Kansas, but a third of the teacher shortage. They're still struggling, and there's many that are. Do you think that if we were to implement something, some kind of a program to try something to increase teacher pay in Kansas, we could do better at retaining and bringing in new talent?
Absolutely. We've fought hard to get teacher pay up in USD 457. The district over the last 6 years has been extremely, in my opinion, has been generous. So for 6 years in a row, under previous board, not this board, but under the previous board, $1,500 was added to the base salary for teachers every single year for 6 years.
Wow.
And so that's where we get up to that 43,000. I think it's actually 43,782 is what the exact starting amount for a zero experience teacher is, along with all the other benefits that we have. But they added 6 years in a row, they added $1,500. This year, nothing was added to the base.
After all of the COVID, oh man, you guys saved our children, and they're like, no, we don't have it. We don't have that for you.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the concerns is, because COVID hit us hard. Yes, they are getting ESSER's funds, but that money can't be counted on a yearly basis. So that's one-time money. And so, as teachers, we know that they can't add that into our salary.
Sure.
And I will say the district did a great job in negotiations this year. Teachers are actually going to, teachers and both certified and classified, so all employees, let's just say that. All employees are going to get an additional payment in paychecks that is nice. Coming from the COVID funding. So the district is recognizing that they need to reward their employees, and the board members that were on negotiations, I think, did a great job of recognizing that. The district 2 years ago, 3 years ago, added in the longevity bonus for their teachers. So if you've worked for the district for 5 to 9 years, you get $500. If you're 10 to 50, there's 4 different levels. It's like 500, 700, 1,200, and then if you're a 20+ year veteran, you get a $2,000 longevity bonus every year. And when they first negotiated that was a 1 year, like it was a pilot. We didn't know if we were going to get to keep it. And then the district came back the next year and said, we want to put this in permanently. And
that's attractive.
So, yeah, that is attractive. So we have attractive things in our package, in our contract. Do I think that it could be better as a parent? Absolutely, because I want certified staff, if at all possible, teaching my children. Last year, I know that there were instances at the high school where the teacher shortage was so bad and they couldn't get a teacher. We had a proctored math class where the students were being taught through a TV, and then somebody was just sitting in the room to take attendance. And it didn't go well. My understanding from talking with other parents, it didn't go well. I think the district tried something, it didn't work, but we need a human in there. We need a certified teacher or a long-term sub with the experience. Kansas has relaxed the the requirements to get an emergency substitute license. They eliminated the previous requirement of needing 60 college credit hours in order to get it. They took that away, so that people could apply to be emergency substitutes to fill that pool, and we still don't have enough.
Right. Okay, so that's a great.
Well, they've made efforts, but I'm sorry, that's just the wrong direction of we're dumbing things down to educate our children, and that's just the wrong direction of things. Obviously, it's an emergency situation. Sorry, Caitlin, I interrupted for my comment, but.
No, I think that helps answer part of this question. With the availability of subs being extremely limited, what type of efforts, like you explained, does the district employ to recruit new teachers to our area? And then do you know of any other entities that are joining the fight to help recruit?
Yeah, so prior to COVID, and I hate that becomes the phrase that we have to use, right?
Yeah,
every time we talk about anything anymore. Prior to COVID, I know that our district was out recruiting in multiple states. They did recruit in Kansas, but we were getting a lot of our teachers from Michigan, Wisconsin, and the eastern states. And it's been like that for a while, and that's great. Because, hey, you want to come teach for us? Yes, please. Let us show you how great Western Kansas is. I'm a hometown girl. I was born here. I was raised here. Both of my parents were educators for USD 457. So, I mean, I think we have a great community. And we can actually give first-year teachers an experience they're probably not going to get in their home state when it comes to diversity and culture and, you know, all the great events you guys introduced at the beginning of the show. We got a lot going on here in Garden City. Caitlin, you asked about entities, you know, so USD is doing their job. They're doing the best they can with travel restrictions, with, you know, the COVID and the fact that we're just not sure where that's going yet, 3 years in. But I tell you what, we have a business in town that, I mean, if I had the money, that, you know, all jokes aside, if I had the money, you know, I'd send every single employee a big old box of chocolate or throw a pizza party for them or something. But I want to shout out to Western State Bank, who has stepped up and who is, I mean, really going the extra mile for the district and for the teachers that are stressed and burned out right now.
Setting a major precedent.
We're having to fill in for all those subs that we can't get, right? We get pulled from our plan periods, which we happily do. I do. I'm fine with it. Because we're a team. We have to work together. The kids have to be educated, right? They can't be unsupervised. But Western State Bank is offering extra time off to their employees so that they can sub, I think it's one day a week, maybe up to 4 times a month. I can't remember the specifics. But the fact that a business is paying the emergency substitute license fee, which is not cheap. They brought in the police department to do the fingerprinting. They brought in the health department to do the tuberculosis testing that we're required to go through. The fact that they paid for all of that and their employees were lining up, they signed up, and I don't know how many substitutes that's going to gain us, but if it even gains us 5, that's 5 more than we had a week ago, and that's 5 teachers that don't have to be pulled for a plan period to go sub in a classroom.
And so that's no expense to the Western State Bank employees, right? They're not suffering by missing work at Western State.
Nope, they're not suffering. They're getting their extra paid time off. They're getting my understanding is they're getting the licensure paid for by Western State Bank and everything that goes with it. I mean, and it's I think between $75 and $100 to get all of that done.
And they're helping the district screen these adults who are being put into the system. So thank you, Western State Bank.
It is an amazing applause to Western State Bank. Thank you so much.
It takes a village.
this
It
teacher
does.
and this parent truly appreciates what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We all do, and I don't believe that long-term subs received the COVID stipend through the district last year. That was something I wanted to mention from before as we were talking, and I don't believe long-term subs, that pay has gone up in at least the last 10 years from 100 to 150, whatever it is. It's kind of stayed stagnant. And I think that would help, along with businesses like Western State Bank doing what they're doing. But absolutely, Western State Bank is setting a precedent for other businesses, other communities. This is what we need to do. Like Zach said, it takes a village to raise a community, and I hope that other businesses would do the same. And speaking of longevity and recruiting people to our area, Summer Miller is an orchestra leader at the high school and middle school. She's been in our district for 20 plus years. She's from Eastern Kansas and got drug out here to Western Kansas to teach music, and absolutely loves it. But it seems like every year she is going in front of the Board of Education, not on the agenda, to talk about, during the community comment, public comment section, her and is it Rotenberg is the other teacher, and are pleading for help for the music department in USD 457. They've asked for 2 to 3 more educators. They've asked for assistants to be promoted up to help in areas. There's always a scheduling conflict, and they are probably the most stretched teachers, educators in our district. As the elementary teachers go between 6 schools, including the country schools, and so on and so forth. The music department has grown every year, from my understanding, as far as enrollments over the last 10, 15, 20 years. With this year, I think 86 kids signed up just for orchestra alone. And as we know, we talked about it on last week's show, fifth graders showed up to open house for the first day of school and learned they no longer had choir, band, or orchestra on their schedule. Why do you think, in your opinion as a parent, are we still struggling with having a broader, more robust music department for our children?
Okay. Yeah, so as someone who thrived in the arts department in middle school and high school, it hurts my heart anytime I see that kids are being not offered. I won't say they're being deprived. I know that in a sense they are. But this isn't a decision, I think, that was made lightly. Summer and Haley did a great job advocating for their department at the last board meeting. And this idea of having one teacher cover multiple schools has been around for at least the 11 years that I've been in the district, and it possibly
longer
has been around longer. And this stems from years ago when the budget was severely cut due to people in Topeka, specifically Brownback, right? Brownback gutted public education, took away the funding, and districts had to make the hard decision of how are we going to fund just the bare minimum. And unfortunately, the arts got cut, and we have never rebounded from that. I was disappointed as a parent to hear that 86 fifth graders were going to be denied the opportunity to pick up an instrument and perhaps discover a love of learning, and the opportunity to engage their entire brain on an every other day basis and it is every other day. Unfortunately, it's not every day at the intermediate centers, like it would be at the middle schools or the high school. But we have a brand new band teacher for 6th grade this year, and we have one teacher asking her to cover 2 intermediate centers, the 2 outlying schools, Jenny Barker and Plymell,
Oh,
and
okay.
then Abe Hubert in town. She has to be provided with drive time
Right.
in between the buildings. She still has to be provided with a prep time, unless they want to pay her the overload, which I certainly as a parent would support. But she's one person covering 5 schools.
And just in case somebody doesn't know, the distance between Jenny Barker and Plymell out here, like, we're not a large city, but we're very spread out. It's a farming and ranching community, and so there's lots of things. Yeah, there's lots of things spread out.
Yeah.
So it's like a 30-minute drive, right, from one to the other.
Yes, from end to end. So she has to be provided with that drive time every day. There's just not enough time in the day for her to do.
See, and if we would just fund the
both grades.
science classes, we could have teleporters by now. And she could
Like, beam me up, Scotty. You know?
I'd volunteer.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Brian has a good question.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Lynnlea.
No. So just to finish that off, because I don't know if we're getting to the end of the show or not.
We are.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, thank you.
Music teachers, as Summer pointed out in her speech, those are unfortunately not positions that we can fill with long-term subs or in-house subbing. Those people really do have to be specialized and qualified, and there's just not enough coming out of the colleges to be recruited.
But my rebuttal to that is, why on earth does Charles Stone's have 3 PE teachers?
Because we have almost 400 children, and since we don't have 5th grade bands, that makes our classes rather large, because there will be anywhere between 65 and 80 kids in a PE class at one time, so they're divided among the 3 teachers to make the class sizes manageable.
Okay, so it's fair. To me it seems like it's a staffing issue. They could move that money around. And it does. There's so many things about music that affect a child, as the comment that was just brought up on screen was mentioning, blood flow to the brain. There's a million things, and I don't have the list in front of me, and we could talk about it for ages.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more.
Football.
Yeah, there's so much more that we want to get to with Lynnlea and our school board. Unfortunately, we didn't even really scratch the surface here tonight on the things that we wanted to speak about. Which makes me excited, because that gives us reason to ask Lynnlea to come back on the show and just communicate with us on what's going on with the school board. As I'm sure there's stuff to talk about from the past. But there's going to be things moving forward too that we need to stay on top of and keep our eye on. So, Lynnlea, we thank you so much for being brave and coming on the show tonight. And as a parent and a community member, we want to make it vehemently clear that Lynnlea is not here to represent any business, educational institution, church, public entity whatsoever. She's here speaking on her own opinion as a parent for USD 457, as a parent of a child in USD 457, as I am, and Caitlyn is, and
we've got 3.
Zach is over in Holcomb,
schools.
but he's close enough, so we can just bring him in with the old
he
arm
still
drag
likes
there.
to pay attention, because he
does.
We're all together. I mean, and in case somebody else doesn't know, I graduated from Holcomb myself, so they can, students can be part of the district, either one, in their whole school career. So it's important to pay
Right.
attention still
Yeah.
how that affects our neighbors.
Well, I know we didn't get to everything you wanted to talk about, guys. I'm so sorry, but
No, that's fine.
I do hope you will ask me back, because I
We
do
will.
think we
Absolutely.
have some other things to talk about that we
We
didn't
do.
get to tonight.
We do. And
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it. It was a blast.
Yes.
Good.
And
We're glad you had fun.
hopefully I informed some people this evening. So
Thank you for
It was-
being well informed and for giving us your time, because that's
it's important. It's
Yeah.
important, and that's kind of why
It
we're
is.
doing this show, because
It
these types of conversations aren't really happening out there. Time is limited. You go to a board meeting, you get 5 minutes to state your case, which is not enough time in most
that is
instances.
nothing. I used to do forensics, and our time in the competition was 7 minutes, and I could tell you I had to talk really fast to get the whole plot through.
Well, if Coach Tidwell's watching, I'm sure he's laughing right now and ready to fire off some notes. But anyway,
don't judge me too harshly, Russ. Don't judge me too harshly.
When we
He's
get
a
to
good
talking
mediator.
about education or music, Coach Tidwell's always supportive, and I love it. But there's lots of people in the community that are. But Lynnlea, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. We will have you back again. We have so much more to talk about. Have a great start to the school year, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Excelsior.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really
great
informative.
conversation.
Yeah, it was good to have a perspective that's outside of our own little group
Right.
on some things, or the things that we're searching for, in our daily conversations with other people, and
I
that's
just
what we're
can't-
here for.
I just can't get over the fact that our natural reaction to say, hey, we don't have enough teachers. We don't go, what are we not doing to bring more of them here? We go,
Correct.
how can we make teaching for dumber people available? People who didn't get an education. People,
Yeah.
I mean,
I was like, that's a whole other topic for a whole other show and the school
It
load
is.
type of stuff, because that
It
definitely
is.
all plays into each other.
Yeah. And Greg, we did try to make it a 2-hour show once, and
We
the real
were falling
bosses.
asleep.
And the real bosses really did like that too much, so including our producers that sit behind, which we want to give a shout out to. What the Tuck is backstage driving the show tonight with the comments and the banners and everything that you see going on behind us, the scenes. We're just here talking. Tucker does everything else tonight, along with Brian Be Real. He and Caitlyn are moving. I don't know if
Finally
that was
in a
public or
together
not, but
home.
I just made it public, so
Yeah,
that is what it is. And so,
live.
he's out doing his thing. But anyway,
So next week, who do we got?
next week.
Yeah, so next Wednesday at 8, we welcome Alexis Louder of Emporia, Kansas, and her Sacred Heart employers released her from the school on the specific basis of participating in a Vote No campaign.
Ooh.
It's
Spicy.
wild. And
Yes.
that's, the theme of things that have been going on is retaliation, and it's
Yeah,
everywhere. If you offer an opinion
Strong arm.
politically, there's a difference between identity and politics, I believe. And I think that line gets blurred often anymore, because you can have politics that aren't necessarily your identity. Does that make sense?
yeah, identity and versus ideology, and how you're supposed to be there as a neutral position, reflecting what the greater community wants, and they actually don't have to do that. They can vote in their own interest. They can make changes or implement legislation based on their own thoughts and prayers.
Tots and pears.
Don't get us started. You guys, this has been a great show. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you saw here tonight and want to see more, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share. Get the word out there that there is citizen journalism in Garden City, Kansas. Whether you agree with us or disagree, hit us up in the comments. Let us know. We want to talk to you either way.
We love the haters.
We
Yes,
love the
we do.
Asians.
It is a good time.
Again, join us next Wednesday at 8 p.m. as we welcome
We're
Alexis
watching you,
Louder of
Troy.
Emporia, Kansas. Have a great night,
Coming
guys.
for you, Troy.
Bye.
Bye.
We're coming for you, Troy.
Resign.